please take a seat. I have so many questions and I'm very, very excited to ask them. So maybe let's start with you, Denice. Now can we have a show of hands? Is there anybody that just graduated or are still in college? Can we get a show of hands? No? Okay. Working girls, all the working girls here. You all look very young, so this is a good thing. Now, my question is, when I remember being in high school and college, I didn't know anything about makeup, and it's overwhelming. It really is. You don't know where to start. So if you were to give, the basics, like this is what you must have in your bag. Let's say you're starting a new job and you have to wear makeup every day. What would your advice be?
I guess my advice would be, just start with the basics. It's either you always need something for your base. So if you have a lot of acne or discoloration, then I'd say concealer. But if you don't have that much acne, but you do have a lot of oiliness, then I'd say powder foundation. So you'd have to have at least one product for your base. And next is your eyebrows, because you don't have to put on too much makeup when you have good drawn out eyebrows, because it already brightens your face and makes you look much more fresher. So a good brow product, a good base product. And I'd say get a multi-purpose lipstick, a lipstick that you can use also for your cheeks, for your lids. So at least you save money, you're on a budget, but you also are able to color your face. Just a little bit of blush on, a little bit of lip color, and it's basically all you need.
There you go. And I wish there was something like this when I was, in college because sometimes I kind of felt like I had to figure it out on my own, but it's great. So I said, do take down some notes. Now, Liz, you talked about, being brave, and you said that there were many times in your life where you felt like, it wasn't going to work out, but you did it anyway. But what was that, turning point for you? Do you ever remember being that person that did not want to go for it? And what do you think the shift was in your life? Or were you always just this go-getter, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway? You know what I mean?
Okay, well, a few years ago, I actually wanted to do a liquid lipstick, right? And this was before the Kylie Jenner explosion. People were all about tube lipstick back then. No one really used matte liquid lipstick. So, early on, I actually had planned to make that. I talked to a factory, I have the costing, and I thought it was going to be the next big trend.
Okay.
But I got scared, and I backed out of everything. And that's really one of the few regrets I do have in my life. I wish I trusted my instinct, and I wish that, I just went for it. Because what's there to lose? Just money. You can always earn it back.
That's very, very powerful. Now, some of us, are kind of gripped by the fear of making a financial mistake sometimes, but it's so nice to know that, you're encouraging the young women to just go for it. But now this question is for both of you. Now, obviously, you're very, very busy ladies, but how do you cope when maybe everything gets a little overwhelming, Like there's so many trends, there's so many things to follow. Like, don't you ever feel like you just need to kind of pause and, look at the view and then go back, you know what I mean? Anyone can start.
Oh, you can start.
Well, being with Everblenda, it's an established brand. We have an upper hand, but at the same time, we're basically, we're at that stage in our business where we always have to be one step ahead of everyone else, because there's always so many trends coming up.
Yeah.
So many up and coming brands, younger brands. And as someone who works at the company, sometimes I do get emotional. I do get stressed out. Like, okay, there's so many things going on, and I still have a different product from a different trend under development. So what do I do, right?
Yeah.
And I think it really, when you're kind of overwhelmed is when you make mistakes.
Okay.
So I really make it a point to remove that emotional connection to the brand. It's okay to be very passionate. It's okay to be, very involved with your work. But at the same time, when you become overwhelmed, you make mistakes, and that's something we can't afford to do. So when I do feel like it gets overwhelming, it gets overbearing, I take a step back and I really try to remove that emotional involvement, and I try to be more objective about things. I look at the numbers, I look at where we are, and really see, okay, there's so many trends, like, is it worth it to get into all of them? And so I really look at the numbers, research. It's a lot about numbers, actually, more than just social media, hypes. It's really understanding the business and seeing from there, okay, so this one's worth doing, this one's not, and then this one I'll just skip. And then from there, we're kind of more intact with what we're supposed to be doing, and then are more, grounded in that sense for our directions moving forward.
I love how you said you removed the emotional aspect of it. And this is definitely your baby. When you're working on something so hard, it's hard not to be emotional, but that is such a great way to look at it. How about you, Liz? When everything gets overwhelming, what's your approach?
I have a lot of hobbies.
Okay.
And I have a hobbies. If you follow me on Instagram, like I like to paint with watercolors. I like to play tennis. I like to row on the water on the dam. It's
Okay.
really such a meditative experience. So I have all these hobbies, and it keeps me sane.
Yes.
Because if you just, for me, if you like think about all, I mean, since I run my own business, you know, and it's just really me who makes all these decisions, it can get super stressful because you know there's a lot of things. As Denice said, you know, when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, you make a lot of mistakes. So what I like to do is I try to get my head out of it and just do something else, something completely different, something that doesn't require me to think about work at all.
yeah.
And you know that just keeps me happy.
And you know, it's great that you mentioned that because I feel like some people sometimes get guilty for allowing themselves to rest because
yes.
busyness is usoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's be busy, let's be busy. Just keep updating. So it's so nice that they can hear that different perspective that relaxing is okay too. It really
Definitely,
is. Absolutely.
definitely.
So if there's one thing, you know, there are a lot of young girls in the audience, and is there just one, your advice to them as we kind of wrap up our talk?
I guess it's really, you know, having more confidence in yourself, really. Because everyone's in social media, you tend to compare yourself a lot, especially some influencers, you know, you start comparing likes, you count your followers. But at the end of the day, what is it that really matters anyway, right? So you kind of really delve deep and understand what's most important to you, and everything else should just be supplemental to that. So you should be grounded on your own as a person, and everything just adds up to it, and then just adds value to you.
There we go. Thank you. And Liz?
Well, it's in my talk. Be brave. You know, just do it. Just do the thing. I mean, there's always so much like paranoia and fear, and you know, just not knowing if it's what happens next is what you want. But the only way to find out is to touch it, hold it, feel it in your hand, and if it's not for you, let it go. But again, there's only one way to find out, and that's just to do it.
Wow, I mean, powerful words. Now, I was asking all the questions, but I do know that our ladies have their own questions. So we are opening the floor. So if you have any questions for Denice and for Liz, please head to the mic over here by the aisle, and they would be, I'm sure you'd be happy to take their questions and their concerns. I am loving your looks today, by the way. We're all in black.
I know,
nag-usap
right?
tayong lahat.
I know. I was gonna wear like a cream outfit, and then I
Yeah.
got a text. You should wear. It's white, so you should wear something that's not white or
Well, you
light.
guys look absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So, of course, we have, do not be shy. I know we're just getting started, but as I mentioned earlier, magkasama tayo buong araw. So, go na, ask your questions. Today is the day. This is the day you stand up and ask those questions. There we go. Hi, what's your name?
Hi guys, I'm Cindy. I'm from the Cosmo team, and I have like a few questions from our readers. So for Liz, as a small content creator, how do you step up your game despite the competition?
Well, I think it's a game of always looking out for the next big platform. Right now, of course, it's YouTube, there's Instagram and Facebook, but Project Vanity, the publication, is everywhere. You know, we're in all platforms, and each piece of content is different for every platform. My fearless forecast, as I said in another event, is that podcasting is going to be the next big thing here in the Philippines, and that's where we are. We actually have the Project Vanity podcast, so hope you guys could give it a listen.
Love it.
That was nice.
On Spotify, sorry. It's on Spotify.
Okay. We'll
Shopify.
take note of that.
Yeah.
Okay, for Denice naman, from our readers also, when I want to be more experimental with my makeup, what products do you suggest I add to my makeup kit?
Experimental. That's actually very vague. But we actually do have a lot of different colors that we can offer our customers. And I actually recommend our Caroline Play palette. This is actually our brand new launch. It's a palette that already consists of different two blush-ons, highlighter, different shades of eyeshadow. And I think when you are on a budget and you're starting out and you want to be experimental, then just investing in a budget product that's not too harmful to your wallet that you can play around with would be a great start.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi.
Hi, my name is Claire. So I'm a content creator. I'm just a small content creator, but I would like to ask you both, what comes first into your mind when you hear the word confidence? I know it's big, but you guys can answer it in your most simplest way, and how can you define it?
Confidence is not when you do something, whatever it is that you do, when you come out of the house, you don't ask yourself, what will other people think about me? You ask yourself, do I like this? And if the answer is yes, then that's confidence.
I have to agree. I think really confidence is when you feel comfortable where you're at. It doesn't mean that you're complacent, but it just means that you're happy, you're steady, you're grounded. And basically, when you're confident, any competition, for example, that you see, any different creation that you see that kind of might be a threat to you is actually something that you look up at as inspiration instead. So basically, when you're confident, whatever different influences should not make an impact on who you are as a person, but instead adds value and encourages you to do something better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have one more question.
Yes, I have a question for Liz. Kasi I know you said about be brave, but I also noticed that you took a big leap from being a lawyer to a blogger. How do you deal with people like, not really criticizing, but syempre they would be telling you, oh sayang naman you studied law for this long and then you end up on being a blogger?
Well, when I decided to do the freelance blogging route instead, of course, my parents were like, oh, are you sure this is what you want to do? You should maybe just get into government. If you don't want to be a lawyer, go to some corporation or whatnot. I mean, syempre, Filipino parents are always gonna be scared for, for you, right? But, I mean, I was young, and you guys are all young. There's still a lot of opportunity and a lot of time to make mistakes. For me, doing that was just a natural direction for me because I really didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't study law at all. After I graduated, that was it. I didn't even take my diploma. My actual diploma is still somewhere in the UP, in the records. I don't know where it is. But you know, it was really something that I felt very strongly about. I wasn't able to say this in my talk, but most of the time, we really only get a feeling. You know, when we graduate, we think, oh, there's going to be like a PowerPoint presentation or like a textbook on adulting and being successful. But I'm sure you guys have found out already or are about to find out that there's no such thing. There's no guide, there's no map. So all you get most of the time is just a feeling. And it's same with James. When I found him, I like saying the story because that's the ultimate, just do it, just freaking do it, you know? Because, you know, just dip in, just to swipe right, just swipe right. Because that's really the only way for you to find out if it's for you.
Thank you. So
Powerful.
instinct.
Thank you.
Instinct.
How about a round of applause for all those questions and those amazing words of wisdom?